Hello everybody and welcome to Cube Theory. I am the Cube Theorist and today I will be modding this, and this here is the DaYan Guhong Pro. The DaYan Guhong Pro is an amazing speed cube for its price of only $17. However, there is a problem. Although it is a good speed cube, it doesn't really hold up against other competitive speed cubes nowadays, so something like the Ferrocore. And it will be very difficult to make this a good option against a lot of other 3x3s like the Ferrocore. But instead of doing that, I'm not going to try to make this the best 3x3 for normal solving, but the best 3x3 for one-handed solving. And to do this, I will be upgrading the core magnets to improve it on its finished feel. So I'm also now going to quickly explain what these magnets are actually doing. Feel free to skip this part if you already know about like 8 magnet ball cores and stuff, but this is for like people who don't 100% understand. So to quickly just take a look here, basically what's going on here is you see there's a core in there and there's that one little magnet there. What's going on right now is that at the bottom of the edge of the corner, you see this other magnet will attract to that magnet. So here, and it'll attract to that magnet. And that's fine. And that's called an 8 magnet ball core because there's 8 corners and there's 8 magnets in the core. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the edges. And if you notice, the DaYan Guhong Pro has a very convenient hole at the very bottom of the edge here. And this is so convenient. If this wasn't here, I don't know if I would actually be willing to do this mod. But basically what this hole does is it allows us to put an extra magnet in here. And this magnet is going to be the opposite of this magnet in the corner, because now instead of having just the corner attract this magnet, we're also going to have this magnet push against it. So now it's going to be less likely that it'll stop here because it's pushing against and it makes it want to keep going, basically. I hope that was a good explanation. If you want, I'm sure there are a lot of better videos explaining what that is called as a 20 magnet ball core. But for a 20 magnet ball core, you need an upgraded ball core, which I'm not doing because I don't have the resources to do that. So I'm just going to be doing what I like to call an upgraded 8 magnet ball core, where I'm adding additional magnets to these edges. So before I actually start, I also have to go over the materials. So let's do that now. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is the DaYan Guhong Pro. And also, I realize I probably didn't talk quite enough about it. Basically, what's really nice is that this is a pretty modern speed cube that still has a lot of features of old speed cubes or specifically one feature. And that is that you can customize the size. So there are 3 sizes that you can get it in: the 54mm, the 55mm, and the 56mm. And you wouldn't think it makes a difference, but believe me, it does. Now, normally the 55mm is considered to be the most conventional version, but here I have the 54mm version because I'm going to be using it for OH. And that's another reason why I picked the Guhong Pro in the first place, aside from the fact that it's actually a really good cube, and I like DaYan, and it's a very, very easy mod. It also has this really nice glossy coating and a very simple hand adjustment system. And I'm not going to go too much more than that, but that's basically the whole thing there. Next thing you need is N35 magnets. And these magnets you actually can't find on Amazon. I had to get these on eBay, and shipping took a week or two. But basically, these are weaker versions of like a piece magnet. And the dimension that you want is going to be 1/8 of an inch by 1/16 of an inch. And basically you get these like really tiny magnets that'll fit in the hole in the bottom of the edge that I showed earlier. And these magnets are very weak. That is a very, very important part of this. I tried this mod a few months ago, before I started doing the whole YouTube thing and before I started filming. And basically I tried it with like N42 magnets or something, and it completely ruined the cube. It's terrible. Use N35s because they're like the weakest conventional magnet you can get. Because otherwise the edge will just like push too much out and it just messes up the whole cube. Just trust me. Those are N35s. So the next thing you're going to need is some kind of glue. I like this Gorilla Super Glue because it has a very small dispensing tip, which is under this cap, that basically makes it really, really easy to glue your magnets in. And it doesn't have to be super glue, it just needs to basically glue the magnets in. So yeah, don't feel like you have to go out of your way and buy this glue. But this is also my favorite glue for modding stuff, so if I do other mods, this is probably the glue that I will be using. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of this glue. And the last two things you need are kind of just for convenience, and that is a tape dispenser and tape and a Sharpie. You technically don't need these, but they make the modding process so much easier because you can like tell what's going on. And yeah, they're just really nice for this mod. And it's not like they're hard to get anyways. And the last thing you're going to need is a kind of clear workspace so that you don't like lose small parts. For this mod, it's not too important, but you should have like at least one mat of space or mini mat, like, you know, just make sure you have a good workspace that you can mod this and you're not going to lose your little magnets, right? So I think that's all we need. Let's get started. So at first we can kind of ignore most of this stuff and just look at the Guhong Pro. And the first thing that you have to do is you have to disassemble it. Now you could take out each edge individually and then put it back in and take out another edge. I'm just going to take the whole thing apart because I think that it's easier to work with that way. I'm also just going to wipe down a lot of these pieces because I just don't like working when the pieces are just covered in lube. So okay, so here are all my edges, and you can kind of set aside the core and core for now because we only need to focus on the edges. Actually, you also do need one core, my bad. Now, the reason we need this corner is so that we can make sure that the polarity of the magnets is correct. Basically, what that means is that we want the magnet in here to be the opposite of the one in here so that it has the right effect on the core. So start by taking your magnets here. You want to just take some out of the bag. I'm going to take all of them out. You don't need to. But also, if you feel these, like, they are just genuinely very, very weak. So you only need 12. I don't know how many this is, and if it's not enough, I'll take more. But basically what you want to do, you want to take one magnet and let it just attract to this other magnet here. Then you want to take your Sharpie and draw on this side, the exposed side of the magnet. Just like that. Now that's basically just so now you know this side that you just drew on is the side you have to glue inside. So when you glue it, you don't want to see this Sharpie. So then you can take off your magnet. Really sorry about that, guys. I just lost a lot of footage because I ran out of iCloud storage. So just to quickly recap how you're supposed to put the magnets in, you want to take one of your magnets. Where did I leave? Here. You want to take one of your magnets, put it on the bottom of the corner, and you basically want to draw on the exposed side, put the tape on the side that does not have the marker on it, put a little glue in the hole, and then with the piece of tape and the magnet, put it into the hole and let it set. And I think it's basically dry enough that I can reassemble it now. Once again, guys, really sorry that I lost that footage. Really annoyed about that. So now I'm just going to reassemble this. Also, after you've reassembled your cube, I do suggest you wipe down the outside because there probably will be some excess lube because DaYan cubes are very lubed. And also wipe your hands. Yeah, sorry, it still feels like there's lube on it, but let's see. It turns really well, and you definitely can feel the extra magnets. Also, I am sorry, I'm not using a 54mm 3x3 here, so let's see. Okay. Also, I'm not that good at OH, so you should know my performance is not being hindered by this cube. In fact, I actually really like it. As is. I probably am going to end up lubing it with something at some point, but it's actually really, really nice, actually. So, I would record more, like solves and stuff, but I don't have the iCloud storage, and I feel like I don't really need to show you my OH solves, also because they're very bad. But in the end, it is very nice. It is a little bit heavier, but that's fine, because it's still a very light cube, and you have, it really does help. it really is definitely a mod that I would say is totally worthwhile. If you can get your hands on N35 magnets, which, like I said, you can find these on eBay. I'm not selling them, but somebody else is. If you get N35 magnets, some glue, and Sharpie and tape, and this cube, definitely worth doing. And overall, it's greatly improved the performance to the point where I think I'm absolutely going to make this for OH. So that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. This is the Cube Theorist signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.